think that people associate traumas, or when you're dealing with it, in terms of like what society deems as traumatic.
Yeah.
But some people may just see it as like situations.
Yeah.
But also, have you
like-
fooled yourself into thinking that it's not traumatic because you've kind of numbed the pain of it?
I mean, if you say that, we could go down like, you know, Alice in Wonderland, and, you know,
Yeah, we could go down the rabbit hole.
well, we'd never know like where
Yeah.
where is right and where is wrong.
Yeah.
But I guess it's just, it comes to like sitting with yourself and being like, am I uncomfortable? Do I feel this is traumatic, or is this just an experience? This is just something in life that has happened, and it is a situation like any other situation that either has a positive connotation or a negative connotation. It just is. I think sometimes things happen, and now as I get older, I just see it as is. Some things just happen, and that is just the way life goes.
In therapy, we talk about trauma in two ways. So there's trauma with a big T, and those are your Ukrainian conflicts. Those are, you know, rape, abuse, the really big things that no one would kind of question is trauma. The other one is trauma with a little t. And these are the kind of small but consistent things that happen to us. And these can be the relational traumas. It can be the fact that dad never asked me how my day was ever as a child, and I never felt like he was interested in me. It can be, you know, the trauma of you know, of losing a dog, for example, right? It can be these kind of small things that are perhaps not so kind of outside the norm, but they still have an effect on us. And I think a really good way of understanding what trauma is trauma is any event that disconnects us from our sense of self. You know, it disconnects us from who we are and who we want to be. And, you know, one of my best friends is a trauma therapist, and she gave the most beautiful analogy, which is, you know, what happens is we all have what we call a Buddha stomach within us, right? We have this thing inherent within us. He's getting to that Buddha stomach.
He wants attention.
Sorry, continue.
He's scared.
Single dad life is really hard, you can see.
Yes, single dad life, everyone.
Trauma with a big T. You know, we all have the ability within us to kind of to know, right? We all have an intuitive sense of who we are, of what's going on, of what we think and what we feel. And what happens with trauma is the pain that happens, right? Whenever you're abused, whenever you're disconnected, it's so unbearable in the body that we start to retreat from the body and go up into our head. And we start to live in our head. We get really intellectual. We get really rational about the way that we look at things. And we're so disconnected from how we actually feel. You know, I could say to you, like...
Speak to him. Speak to him.
That's really interesting.
Just turn that way. I'll just sit.
Because I say to people all the time, lie back down. I say to people, you know, how do you feel about that? And they'll tell me what they think. And I'm like, no, how do you feel? What's happening in your body as we speak? And they go, I don't know, like a sad, I guess. They don't have that connection to what's going on inside of them as they live. And I always ban my clients from the word good. It's a filler word. It doesn't mean anything. It's like, okay, I'll say to them, how are you feeling? They say, good. How are you feeling? Can you find a word to describe what's happening in your body?
It's a very
that's really interesting. I like that.
Yeah.
I think I can relate to some of that.
Yeah, you can.
I think that I rationalize a lot of situations. Not that I can't empathize, because I think that I'm naturally very empathetic. I can empathize very easily with other people, but I think when I look at myself and my own situations, I'm able to like create a more like rational, you know.
But why would you empathize for other people but not for yourself?
Because I'm like, for me, I'm like, so for me, I guess how I think about it, I'm like, life doesn't stop moving, and if you don't know how to move past pain, you'll be stuck in that forever. So it's either going to get me to where I want to be, or it won't get me to where I want to be. So I can kind of rationalize it and be like, well, will it stop me moving forward? And then that's how it allows me to get rid of it, basically. Not like push it down. I don't feel like I push it down. I feel like I genuinely am able to just lift the weight off. Like do I really care? Do I really care about this? You know, is it irreversible? How irreversible is it on my life? Can I change it? If I can change it, then change it. If I can't, what's the benefit of continuing to think about it?
Yeah. I mean, and it's about balance. I'm not saying I want people to never think about what's going on and never, have those skills to be able to really break things down and understand and put pieces together. And, it's important to have that part. It's equally as important to be honest about how we feel and let that inform us. And so that those two parts can be integrated and aligned, that how we feel is in line with how we think. And yeah, I see it all the time. I see people, they can tell me what's going on here. And the reason that's not sufficient, because if it worked, sick, we just never feel our stuff, just constantly move towards who we want to be. But then we start to become split, because there's something that's happening inside of us, in our body, and then there's something that's happening up in our head, and there's two different parts. And we're in conflict with each other. We're in conflict with ourselves, right? We feel torn. We feel misaligned. We feel misunderstood. I love, the analogy I always give is emotions are like a beach ball, right? Could you hold a beach ball underwater?
You have to hold it tight because it's buoyant, so you have to push it down.
But you could do it, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit of work, but you can get on top of it. It's not that hard, right? You can do it. You can suppress your emotion, right? It's doable. But what's the natural trajectory of a beach ball when you push it underwater?
It's going to want to pop back up.
It's going to want to come up. Our emotions are here to help us. Our emotions are here to communicate with us. On a different level. It's not up in our head, it's in our body, because our emotion is trying to move us into action, right? If you think about anxiety, what anxiety is trying to say to you is, hey, there's a threat that might be in the future that I want you to be aware of.
Yeah.
When you think about jealousy or envy, you think there's something of yours that is, there's a threat that it won't be yours anymore. If you think about excitement, right, it's trying to move you towards pleasure. This is a good thing, keep going. It's constantly scanning our situation and giving us feedback. And so this is why we want to lean into our emotions and not let them be in the driver's seat. Right? It's not like, oh, I feel angry. I'm going to let it totally consume me and make all of my decisions. It's, what is this anger trying to tell me about myself and about this situation? An analogy I give for anxiety, but with all emotion really, is imagine that we're roommates, right? You're in your room. You've got your noise cancelling headphones on. You're just on your laptop doing some work, right? You're busy. You're invested in something. I'm in the kitchen cooking, and I'm a bad cook, and so I start to burn things, and there's a really little fire. It's just small. I try putting it out. I'm patting it, and it's just not working, and I'm like, oh shit, okay, I'm probably figuring out what I need to do. How badly is this going to escalate? But I run to you and I knock on your door, because I want to let you know that there might be a problem. Now, if I knock on your door and you take your headphones off and you go, hey, what's up? I said, hey, I don't think it's a big deal, but there's a little fire in the kitchen. I'm going to try and put it out right now. Maybe you want to come help me, or maybe we might need to leave. Now I know that you have that information and you're going to do what's necessary. But if I come to your door and I'm banging and you can't hear me, I go, oh shit. He's in danger and he doesn't know it. This could get really bad. His door is locked. He's fully ignorant to the threat that is out there. So I might start banging on your door, right? If it gets so bad, if this fire starts to consume, I might knock your door down and come and grab you, right? It's the same thing with emotion. The more that you try to ignore it, the